Hello everyone, it's Georgia here. Right, so I thought I'd give a little expo, Lupus expo, on that age-old question, but you look fine. So I thought, let me give you a little backstory, because I get that question a lot, but you look fine, you don't look like you're sick. So because it's Lupus Awareness Month, I thought I'd go into a little bit more detail just about what I go through and possibly other lupus sufferers go through. I shouldn't say sufferers because I don't like that word suffering, because it's something that you've been, you've been given. So it's not that you have to suffer, you just have to get on with it. So yeah, so first off, say, oh, you look fine. But with systemic lupus erythematosus, it's quite a complex thing. So, I've got some stuff here that I go through on a regular basis most of the time. So this is my pill box. This essential every single day. I have to carry it with me just in case you don't want to get stuck out somewhere and you haven't got your pill box on you. This is my anticoagulant book, which I have to get tested every single 2 weeks because I'm on anticoagulants because I had a blood clot. I've had quite a few blood clots in my calf and my lungs, but I'll go into that a little bit later. This, because with lupus it can then cause other things if you're on long-term medication. Because of the medication, my cells don't generate, so I became very anemic. And women, we are anemic anyway because of, menstrual cycle, all those little things that happen when you lose blood and stuff like that. But because I don't even lose blood, I can't take folic acid and stuff, doesn't do anything for that side of anemia. It's like microcytic anemia. So I have to inject myself every week. Not pleasant, but it's got to be done if I don't want to be sleeping 24 hours a day. Right here, sunscreen, because UV can cause a flare-up. It can, for some reason, the UV seems to activate, lupus. This is because because your hair, lupus can make your hair fall out. So that's just to help with growth, and plus it can get, because of I have systemic lupus erythematosus, that means it affects everything, your organs, your skin, everything like that. Gel for my muscles, because you do get the very often, even if you have, it feels like, it can feel like arthritis, but it's the muscle joints can become very inflamed. So it's very painful. It's like rigor mortis, but I know you're saying people that are, it's only dead people that get rigor mortis, but it would be something like that if they were alive. Think Walking Dead sort of thing. And then I've got these essential hand wristbands, which I have if, like, I used to work in retail, so use your wrists a lot, you use your hands for everything you do anyway, so just being active, using your hands all day can cause your wrists to become very sore, flames, whatever, so it just gives you a bit of relief, plus it's good for shopping if you've got a heavy bag. Little small one, that's just in case if I'm going to be doing something, like I use this often if I'm going to go and do a workout and you're going to have to do a plank or something like that, you really don't want sort of thing. So yeah, hand gel, because we are susceptible to infections, so I take this with me everywhere when I'm out, because I really do not want to pick up anything, because once you catch a cold, then you get pneumonia, then you get, other things. Then I've got my walking stick, which is quite funny because it's quite ironic that when my joints hurt me, to use my walking stick, I have to use the hand brace because my wrists hurt me also. And plus, this is quite funny stories with this walking stick, because I look like this and I'm outside with a walking stick and people staring at me, or they just blatantly say, why have you got a walking stick? You look perfectly fine. You're not 70 years old. Just because I'm not 70 years old doesn't mean I don't need a walking stick sometimes. Sometimes I really need this just to get about, because it can be very painful. So that is like a daily thing. That's basically my medical file, that whole box. It's got all my, oh, that was heavy. It's got all my files in it. It's got appointments, because often with lupus and because of SLE being that affects all your organs, I have multiple appointments. So I have different ones. I have a lupus one, I have an anemic one, I have a kidney one, just to make sure that everything's fine. I have chronic kidney disease, but I have lupus of nephritis as well, which means that it's just the kidney is like basically infected with the lupus. The lupus is caused the kidney. So I go into a little bit of detail, because you know, people say, oh, you look fine. Unless you've got x-ray eyes, you know, unless you're like an X-Men or something like that, you do not know what somebody is like inside, which means that's how they are on the outside, but it's just that you can't see it. So I don't know if you can see here, I was in the coma for 9 days. Yeah, 9 days in and out of coma. So in that, because I had pneumonia, my lungs collapsed. But then because my lungs collapsed, and I had kidney disease already, my kidneys collapsed as well. So I had kidney failure. Both kidneys failed. So I had to have a fistula in. Now, a fistula, they put one in your neck and they put one in your wrist. That's often a common scar from a fistula in the wrist. A lot of people have this one. I don't know why. It's just like, I don't know why it causes the scar like that, but most people get that kind of scar. You would know that if they've got a scar like that, it's usually down to they had a fistula or they've had dialysis of some sort. So whilst I was in a coma, I was on dialysis, and then I've got marks there, another one here, just for tubes in, because I was on the ventilator, so in ICU. So I had the tube in my nose, the tube that one goes in your mouth, one to feed you, so it was to keep you nourished and stuff like that. So that happened then, and after that I had chemotherapy, so my hair fell out. Now, so when I had the lupus initially and I had chemotherapy, I went very, very tiny. So it was quite funny, because I had leggings that I had before I had the chemotherapy. And then when I put after chemotherapy, and I couldn't eat, hold anything down, I was in the isolation unit because I contracted MRSI. So I had, you see the scar, it's right in between my tattoo, because it starts to eat away, very, very painful. Started to eat away at my bone. So I was in ICU, but it was quite weird, because it kind of like was, you know, like E.T. when they go in, and because my surname's Elliot, it was quite funny. It's like E.T. phone home. Everybody came in with like the masks and the bodysuit, because they couldn't, you know, you had to be isolated, and they couldn't expose anything to you, because it was completely, you couldn't fight any infection other than that, and to stop it and stuff like that. So that was strange, but interesting. And plus I was across from the clock in Westminster, because that's in St Thomas's. So on the hour, boom, boom. That drove me absolutely mad, to be honest. absolutely crazy. But at least I got a view to the Parliament. I guess I should have just swum over there or threw a letter over there to say, come on now. Oh, look, sorry, I diverge. And then, so yeah, so I've had, yeah, tubes in my back, tubes in my side, spinal taps, collected spinal fluid, brain scans. Actually, I had epileptic fits, which was just a bit random. I had those for like 4 weeks. So that was quite scary because I thought, oh, is that going to mean I'm going to be epileptic as well? But it was just a temporary thing. And then I had some epilepsy drugs at the time. Wasn't very clued up on that. So that was weird but interesting, because it's just like you just really can't control those. So that was fine, but that means I couldn't carry on with my driving lessons, which was a bit annoying. But yeah, so that's everything. So when people say, oh, but you look fine, you don't really know what someone's gone through. So I hope that just gives a little bit more understanding. Also, I think people just need to understand as well, like, it can be hard on relationships. I mean, when I first was in a relationship, we broke up because at first he thought, oh, can you contract it? No, it's not an STI. Do you get what I mean? And plus, you know, that means I would have had to been doing something, which I wasn't. So let's put that right out there right now. But no, it's not. So it can be hard in a relationship. So what I say is, don't be scared to tell a guy, like obviously if it's going to be going somewhere, that you have lupus, because I think it can be harder for people on the outside than it is for the person with lupus to understand that, because they want to help you, but you don't want to feel like you're not a victim. So you don't want them to constantly feel like, oh, what can I do for you? You just want them to have the knowledge to understand what it is you're going through without feeling sympathetic. Just be empathetic, if that makes sense, and just be aware. And like I had this, I have lupus etiquette, I call it. So I call it the stroll to the bowl, because sometimes in the mornings you just think like, you just want to be sick. You get nauseous and it just comes out of nowhere and you just think, oh my gosh. So I call it stroll to the bowl. So if you're lucky, like I've going on like a proper serial dater now, isn't it? Alex, he was very good with me, because I explained to him, he was fine with it and stuff like that. Obviously he couldn't help himself but to feel bad sometimes when I was constantly sick, or I can't do anything, or I can't, you know, open a jar or something like that, or he's got to do something for me. But he was very good, so he never took any notice. Like I you know, one time I could be going into the bathroom and being sick 4 times. I'd just get up and just run, and he would know just by looking at me. I just do the nod, that one, and I'll go, and he'd be fine, and he'd just get on with it, you know. But it can be quite a difficult thing it can be quite hard on relationships if the guy feels helpless and he doesn't understand what it is you're going through, or like, why are you doing something, because he's thinking, but you were sick yesterday and you're fine today. So it can sort of like get in between your relationship to think, oh well, you just lied about being sick the day before, or I don't think you should go out because you were sick yesterday. So it can complicate things. That's why it's good to have a open line of communication even from the beginning. So and as well, don't be ashamed of your scars. I mean, I can say that now, because when I was younger, I did cover, from one comment, I covered up, I never showed my arms for at least 2 years. 2 years I covered up my arms and my legs, because I had really bad stretch marks, because obviously I went down to like 7 stone, so I was mega skinny, And then when I had the kidney problems, I blew up. I actually looked like, it's quite funny, I actually looked like the Ghostbusters. Have you seen the original Ghostbusters? The Stay Puft guy? That was me. Like, I was a black marshmallow man. That's what I was. So that's what I looked like. And I couldn't wear shoes, I couldn't wear a bra, I couldn't wear anything. My skin actually started to leak. And just by one comment, I was like devastated, like, oh my gosh, now people looking at me thinking they, you know, that, oh, I just look terrible, blah, blah, blah. And you do think those things because if you just don't want to stand out. So it's about learning to just make comments go over your head. You know what stage you're at. You have to learn to make those comments go off, because people will always say what they want to say. I mean, when I was skinny, I mean, my knees were bigger than the rest of my leg. I mean, I looked like a skeleton. I was just my face was so skinny. It was just like 2 eyeballs and skin on the bone. That's what I mean. It's like, you know. So, yeah. So you have like an anorexia. It's not, you know, you've got 2 types of anorexia. You've got anorexia nervosa, which is the actual condition, and you've got anorexia as a result of, you know, just your physical condition. It's not mental as well as the physical thing. So, and then when I had the kidney problems, because I was blown up, people were like, oh, you've been eating a lot. The people haven't seen you for a while, mind you. You've been eating a lot. And you're thinking, oh yeah, one piece of toast. So you just have to learn how to just create almost like a tough skin to people's comments, like whatever. You just have to be like, I know what I'm going through. They don't know. Leave it at that, of course, you know. And plus, like when I was on chemotherapy and medication quite a lot, I was very bruised up. So people just, it looks like you've been beaten up, basically, like you've been thrown around in the ring without no padding on. So you can look bruised up. So even if you're bruised up and it's a hot day, you got your sunscreen on, go out there. You just need to just like wave it off, because people will stare at you, whatever. You need to, you know, if you don't want to answer me a question, then you need to just look the other way or whatever, because you shouldn't have to, you know, make yourself suffer. You already got something that you're just, you know, you have to deal with. So why are you then having to hide that from the world because they can't handle it? Don't bother yourself with that. I don't care. I mean, I've got, you know, marks there, marks there, marks there, marks there. So, and as well, if you feel good, make sure you go out there. Like I go to keep fit. I think I'm becoming like a fitness trainer holder, because I'll just go to any fitness class that I can go to be honest. Because when I'm feeling good, I'll make the most of it, and it does help when I'm not having a good day. I can not feel too bad that I'm not feeling as fit as I was yesterday. Plus it opens your mind up to things. It just makes you feel a bit more relaxed and a bit easier about things. Also, I don't think people understand, like when you've had years of blood tests, it is so painful. Like before I was getting used to it, but because my veins are like hardened, I mean, anyway, I'm sure that when they looked at me and thought, she must be using for a long time, she ain't got no veins left. But you know, it kind of is what it is. So yes, I'm not going to say that I didn't have any dark days, of course, but you have to own those dark days. I mean, I was a right old cow at sometimes when I was in hospital, because I was just frustrated, and it was just like I couldn't think beyond what was going on at the moment. You have to think beyond that and just think things do get better. They could get worse again, but you have to deal with everything as it comes and not think of it as, you know, sort of like a death sentence as such. But if someone goes, oh, but you look fine, I always take the time to explain to someone. I mean, if you happen to get a great boss, then you're lucky. I had a great boss where I worked previously, so about occupational health and so forth. And don't feel like you're less of a worker than maybe somebody else just because you're sick or whatever. And even if you go to an interview, just tell them, like, it doesn't inhibit what I do, but there are going to be days when I will be wearing this to work. I will be having to go and thingy, but it's not going to affect your work. As long as you do your job, you'll be fine. So that as well. And even if your family members, just tell them, like, you know, be honest with them and say, you know, I'm not feeling good. And then, yeah. So that's it. I hope that helps. If there's anybody that just wants just a little bit of support, just to get up and go, just to do anything, doesn't matter. I'm always up for supporting people, you know, with lupus. That